The letter was written in 1887. Margot held it under the moonlight, hands shaking, not from cold, from recognition. To whoever finds this land it began, you are not abandoned, you are chosen. Behind her the spring ran, same as it had for Sister Theodora, same as it would for whoever came next. Emma was asleep inside the cabin, safe, fed, loved. 1 month ago, none of that had been certain. 1 month ago, Margot had nothing, not even hope. 8 months earlier, the truck stopped in a clearing that barely deserved the name. Victor shut off the engine, didn't look at her. "Here we are," he said. "Family property. Fresh start." Margot looked through the windshield at what used to be a house. Sagging roof, broken windows, weeds tall enough to hide a child. Emma's hand found hers in the back seat. Small, trusting. Mama Margot swallowed. Victor was already unloading. 3 chickens in a wire crate, 1 duffel bag, a blanket so thin you could see through it. "You've got 90 days, he said, handing her an envelope. "Prove you can maintain it, or it goes back to the estate." He climbed into the truck, started the engine. Margot's voice came out smaller than she wanted. "Victor, there's no electricity, no water." He looked at her then. Finally. "There's a spring in the woods," he said. "Figure it out." The truck rolled away, and Margot stood there, holding her daughter's hand, watching her last connection to family disappear down a dirt road she didn't know the name of. "Mama, I'm scared." "Me too, baby." But they didn't leave. They couldn't. They had nowhere else to go. The first night, the cabin looked worse up close. Front steps rotted through on one side, door hanging on a single hinge, windows that had been broken so long ago the edges weren't sharp anymore, just worn, like everything else. Emma stayed close, one hand gripping Margot's jacket, the other clutching the stuffed rabbit she'd had since she was 2. Mr. Hops had seen better days too, missing an ear. Stitched and restitched until the seams showed more than the original fabric. But Emma wouldn't let him go. Margot understood. Some things you hold on to, not because they're perfect, because they're yours. She pushed the door open. It swung wide with a sound like something dying. The inside wasn't much. 1 room, maybe 15 feet by 20. Dirt floor in some places where the wood had rotted through. A fireplace that looked like it hadn't been used in decades. Cobwebs thick enough to catch light. And the smell. Mold and decay and time. So much time. "Mama, I don't like it here." Margot knelt down, eye level with her daughter. "I know, sweetheart, but we're going to make it better." "Okay." Emma's eyes were huge, 6 years old, and already she'd learned to be afraid of raised voices, of doors slamming, of the way adults said one thing and meant another. James had never raised his voice, never. But he was gone. And now Emma was learning a whole new kind of fear, The kind that came from having nothing, being nothing, to people who were supposed to care. Margot stood up, looked around. There had to be something they could use. She found a broom in the corner, handle cracked but functional, started sweeping. The dirt and debris didn't want to move, like it had earned its place here. It took an hour to clear enough space to set up some kind of sleeping area. The blankets spread over the least damaged section of floor. The duffel bag as a pillow for Emma. Margot would use her jacket. She'd slept on worse. No, that was a lie. She hadn't. The chickens were still in the crate outside. Margot had no idea what to do with chickens. James had been the one who knew about animals, about fixing things, about making something out of nothing. She'd been the one who... What had she been? A wife, a mother? Which apparently wasn't enough to qualify her for survival. She opened the envelope Victor had given her. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Terms of conditional occupancy, it said at the top. Legal language that boiled down to this: 90 days to prove she could maintain the property. If she failed, the land reverted to the family estate, which meant Victor. At the bottom, in smaller print, outstanding mortgage balance, $8,400. Margot read it again. Victor had mortgaged this land. This worthless piece of... No, not worthless to him. He'd borrowed against it. And now he needed it back. Or needed her gone. Or both. She folded the paper, put it back in the envelope. Didn't tell Emma. What would she say? Outside, the light was fading. They'd need a fire. Margot had never built a fire in her life. She picked up pieces of wood that looked burnable, carried them back in armfuls, made a pile by the fireplace. There were no matches in the duffel bag. She searched the ground where the truck had been parked, found a small box of matches by the chicken crate, damp from sitting outside. But there, Margot arranged the wood the way she'd seen in movies. Small pieces at the bottom, larger on top. The sixth match worked. A tiny flame, growing, spreading. Margot sat back. First thing she'd done right all day. Emma came and sat next to her, leaned against Margot's side. "It's warm," she whispered. "Yeah, baby, it is." They sat there as the room darkened, as the fire became the only light, as the first night in their new life settled around them. Surviving Margot woke to the sound of rain, not gentle rain, the kind that found every hole in the roof, which was most of the roof. Water dripped onto the floor, onto their blanket, onto Emma's face. The little girl woke with a gasp. "It's okay," Margot said, moving her away from the leak. "It's just rain." She found an old bucket in the corner, placed it under the worst leak. The pinging sound of water hitting metal filled the room. Emma shivered. The fire had died hours ago. Their blanket was soaked. Margot pulled Emma close, used her own body as a shield. "We're going to be okay," she whispered. Into Emma's hair, into the dark. She didn't believe it, but she said it anyway. The rain stopped around dawn. Outside, the chickens were making noise. The crate was tipped over. It took 20 minutes to catch them. One chicken had gotten away entirely. The other two looked at her with pure hatred. The feeling was mutual. She needed to find the spring. The woods were thicker than they looked. Margot pushed through underbrush, over fallen logs, listened. There, faint, but there. She followed it, over a ridge, down a slope, and then the spring. Small, barely more than a trickle coming out of the rocks, but clear, clean. Margot knelt down, put her hands in. The cold went straight through her. She cupped water to her mouth, drank. It tasted like nothing, which meant it tasted like everything. The next 3 days blurred together. Hauling water from the spring in the bucket, trip after trip. Trying to start fires that actually stayed lit. Feeding the chickens, eating what little they had. Crackers from the duffel bag, 2 cans of soup, some granola bars that were more wrapper than food. Opal. On the 4th day, someone knocked on the door. Margot froze. She opened the door. A woman stood there, old, maybe 70, white hair pulled back in a bun, holding a basket. "You must be the new neighbor," she said. "I'm Opal," the woman continued. "Live about 2 miles that way." She pointed. Opal looked past her, into the cabin, at Emma on the floor, at the dirt and the damp and the nothing. Her expression didn't change, but something in her eyes did. "I brought bread," she said, "and some eggs. Figured you might need them." "I can't pay you." Opal smiled. Small, sad. "Didn't ask you to." She held out the basket. Margot took it. Her hands were shaking. "Thank you," she managed. Opal nodded, turned to leave. "Wait," Margot said. The woman stopped. "How did you know I was here?" "Small town," she said. "Word travels. Besides, I know what it sounds like when someone's trying to survive alone." She walked away, disappeared into the trees. That night they ate fresh bread, real eggs that Margot scrambled over the fire. First meal in 4 days that tasted like food, like hope. Opal came back the next day, and the day after that. Never staying long, never asking questions, just bringing things, showing Margot how to use them. "This is how you bank a fire," she said, "so it lasts through the night. This is how you tell if water's safe to drink. This is how you set a trap for rabbits. This is how you mend a roof. Temporary, but better than nothing." On day 9, Emma asked the question, "Why are you helping us?" Opal was quiet for a moment. Then she looked at Emma. Really looked. "Because once upon a time," she said, "someone helped me. When I needed it. When I had nothing." She stood up, and because it's the right thing to do. Elias. On day 12, Margot was hauling water when she heard hoofbeats. A man on horseback, coming through the trees, tall, maybe late 30s, weathered in the way people who work outside get weathered. A boy sat behind him, small, silent. The man pulled up. "You, Margot?" She nodded. "How do you know my name?" Opal told me. Said you might need help with the roof. I'm fine. You're not. It wasn't mean, just factual. I said, I'm fine. The man shrugged. Okay. He turned the horse. Wait. It came out before Margot could stop it. The man stopped. I don't have money. Didn't ask for any. Then why? Because Opal asked me to. And I owe her, that's all. The boy on the horse hadn't made a sound. Just watched. Big eyes. Serious. That your son, Margot asked. The man's jaw tightened. Yeah. Lucas. The boy looked down. I'm Elias, the man finally said. I'll come by tomorrow. Fix what I can. He rode off before she could respond. Elias came the next morning, Lucas with him. The boy slid off the horse, stood near the trees. Didn't come closer. Elias got to work. Didn't talk much. Just climbed up on the roof with boards he'd brought. The sound of work. Real work. Fixing things. Your girl Elias said from the roof. She always that quiet. Margot looked at Emma. Who was watching Lucas? Who was watching the ground? Since my husband died, Margot said. Elias was quiet. Then, mine too. My wife. 2 years ago. I'm sorry. Elias hammered another nail. Lucas hasn't spoken since. He worked for 3 hours. That'll hold, he said. Climbing down. Through winter at least. Thank you. He nodded. Started toward his horse. Stopped. There's a market in town on Saturdays. If you need supplies. Opal usually goes. I don't have. She stops by here anyway. You might as well ride with her. He mounted the horse. Lucas climbed up behind him, still silent. Emma came to stand beside Margot. That boy doesn't talk, she said. No. How come? Because sometimes Margot said slowly. When something really bad happens, words don't work anymore. Emma thought about this. Like when Daddy died. Yeah, baby. Like that. The fever week. 3. Emma developed a cough. Small at first, then worse. By day 20, it rattled in her chest like something loose. On day 21, Emma's forehead was hot. Margot knew that heat. Fever. She ran. Through the woods. In the dark. 2 miles. Until she saw lights. Opal's house. She pounded on the door. Opal answered. Took one look at Margot's face. The baby fever. Opal grabbed a coat. I'll get Elias. He has a truck. 10 minutes later, headlights cut through the trees. Elias carried Emma to the truck. She was barely conscious. Burning up. Margot climbed in back with her. Held her. Please. Please, please, not her. Elias drove to the cabin. Carried Emma inside. Opal was already there. Had water boiling. Had cloths ready. Cool her down, she said. Keep the fever from spiking higher. Elias soaked a cloth. Laid it across Emma's forehead. Margot's hands shook so hard she couldn't hold anything. Opal took over. You breathe, she said. I'll do this. Elias put a hand on Margot's shoulder. She'll be okay. You don't know that. No, he admitted. I don't. But his hand stayed. Heavy, warm, real. The night was long. Emma's fever climbed, then plateaued, then climbed again. Margot didn't leave her side. Elias stayed too. In the corner, Lucas curled up next to him. Asleep, Opal worked, changing cloths, brewing tea from herbs she'd brought, getting Emma to drink sips. Around 3 in the morning, Emma's breathing changed. Deeper, slower. Then Emma's eyes fluttered open. Mama Margot couldn't speak, could only cry. While Opal checked Emma's forehead, smiled. Fever's breaking. Margot put her head down on the blanket next to Emma, felt her daughter's hand pat her hair. It's okay, Mama. And Margot sobbed. All of it. The fear, the exhaustion, the 8 months of holding everything together. It poured out. When dawn came, Emma was sleeping. Real sleep. Opal was making coffee over the fire. Margot took the cup, drank. Elias was awake. Lucas still sleeping against his side. Thank you, Margot said. Elias nodded. Sarah died here, he said quietly. At the spring, 2 years ago. Margot went still. She was taking pictures for a magazine article about water rights. He looked at his coffee, slipped on the rocks, hit her head, drowned in 3 feet of water. Jesus, I swore I'd never come back here. His voice was flat, empty. Lucas was with me that day. He saw. That's when he stopped talking. Elias looked at her. When Opal told me someone new was here, with a little girl, living in this wreck, he stopped. I didn't want to care, didn't want to get involved, but I couldn't let it happen again. What, someone dying here, because they were alone, because no one helped. He looked at Emma. She's okay because you fought, because you didn't give up. His eyes met Margot's. Sarah was researching something about the water rights in this area, trying to prove something, what I don't know. She never told me, just said she'd found something important. He stood up, gathered Lucas in his arms. I should go. Elias, he stopped. I'm not going anywhere, Margot said. We're staying. I know. How? Because you're still here. The spring, Emma recovered slowly, but she recovered. By week 4, she was drawing again, with sticks in the dirt, with charcoal from the fire on flat rocks. Always the same thing. A woman, long dress, standing by water. Who's that? Margot asked. Emma shrugged. Just a lady. On day 30, Elias came back, brought seeds for planting. It's late in the season, he said, but some things might still take. That evening, Elias stayed for dinner. Soup from Opal's last visit, and bread Margot had tried to make. Dense, heavy, barely edible. Elias ate it anyway. Emma fell asleep early, still recovering. Lucas, too. Margot and Elias sat by the fire. Didn't talk. The quiet was nice, different from loneliness. This was company. "You were married," Elias said eventually. "Yeah. 8 years. He died in an accident. Car. Ice. He didn't." She stopped. "He didn't suffer." "That's what they told you." "Yeah." Elias nodded. "They told me Sarah drowned quickly. Wouldn't have felt it." "Did you believe them?" "No. Me neither." Lucas smiled today, Elias said, when Emma gave him that rock. Margot looked over, the 2 children asleep. Emma's hand had found Lucas's. She was holding it. He hadn't pulled away. "Kids are tougher than we think," Margot said. "Yeah." Elias stood. "I should go." "You don't have to, I know." But he stayed, sat back down, and they watched the fire burn until Margot's eyes closed. When she woke the next morning, Elias was gone. Lucas, too. But there was a note on the floor, in rough handwriting. "Thank you." Margot folded it, put it in her pocket. First thing besides Emma that felt like hers in a long time. The discovery on day 35, Margot was hauling water. Same routine, same path. Except there was something by the spring. She stopped. A stone. Carved stone. She set the bucket down, walked closer. The stone was old, half buried. Letters carved into the surface, worn, but readable. Sister T, 1887. Margot knelt, touched the letters. Sister, as in none here. She looked around. There had been someone here, someone who'd left a marker. She looked more carefully at the area. There, behind the rocks, more stones, arranged in a pattern, not natural. She brushed away leaves, dirt, found more carved letters. M. Rye. Another stone. Agnes. She kept digging, until her fingers hit something that wasn't stone. Wood. Old wood. She scraped away more dirt. A box. Small. Rotted in places, but intact enough. Margot pulled it free, sat back. The wood was soft, fragile. She opened it slowly. Inside, a book, leather-bound, water-damaged. But there. She lifted it out, opened the first page. The handwriting was small, precise, faded but readable. May 1887. We have arrived at what will be our mission. 5 of us. Sister Mary, Sister Agnes, Sister Beatrice, little Anna, who has not yet taken her vows, and myself, Sister Theodora. Margot stopped breathing. This was a diary from 1887, from women who'd lived here, right here. She turned the page, kept reading. The spring is a gift from God, clear and cold and endless. We will build our chapel near it. The next pages describe building, hard work, daily prayers. Then, June 1887. A man came today, Colonel Ashford. He owns much of the land around here. He was polite, but I did not trust his smile. July 1887. Colonel Ashford returned. He wants the spring, says he needs it for irrigation. He offered to relocate us. We declined. This is our mission, granted by the church. August 1887. The colonel has stopped sending supplies. We are on our own. September 1887. Sister Beatrice is ill. We have no medicine. October 1887. Sister Beatrice died today. We buried her near the spring. Sister Mary is showing the same symptoms. Margot's hands shook. Some pages were stuck together. Water damaged beyond reading. Others were missing entirely. Torn out. Someone had removed pages from this diary. The last entry was dated November 1887. I have buried the last of my sisters, Mary, Agnes, Beatrice, Anna, all gone. I am alone. The colonel has won. I am too weak to continue. But I will not let our story die. I have written the truth. I have copied the documents, hidden them where someone will find them. Someday, when it matters, to whoever finds this land, you are not abandoned. You are chosen. The spring sustained us. May it sustain you. Sister Theodora. The page ended. Margot sat, holding the diary, feeling the weight of it. You are not abandoned. You are chosen. Something rustled behind her. Emma stood there. I followed you, she said. Sorry. It's okay, baby. Emma came closer. What's that a story? About what? About women who lived here a long time ago. Emma sat down next to her. Are they still here? No, sweetheart. They died. Emma was quiet. Then, I dreamed about one of them. What? A lady in a long dress. She was nice. She told me you were going to be okay. Margot's skin prickled. When did you dream this? When I was sick. Emma pointed at her drawings. That's her. Margot looked at the figure Emma had been drawing for weeks. Long dress, standing by water. Emma. Do you still dream about her? No. Not since I got better. Emma looked at the spring. I think she was watching over us. Margot looked at the diary in her hands, at the words. You are chosen. And she thought, maybe, just maybe. Some things couldn't be explained. That night, Margot read the diary again, cover to cover. The missing pages bothered her. What had been written there? She looked at the last entry again. I have copied the documents, hidden them where someone will find them. What documents as she thought about Victor? His mother's maiden name, Ashford. Victor was descended from the colonel, the man who'd driven 5 nuns to their deaths, who'd stolen their land. This wasn't about her at all. This was about finishing what his ancestors started, getting rid of the inconvenient women, taking the spring, history repeating. Margot closed the diary. Outside, the wind picked up. Rain started. But the roof held, because Elias had fixed it, because Opal had helped her, because she wasn't alone. The women who died here, they'd been alone. Margot wouldn't be. She looked at Emma, asleep on the blanket, safe, fed, alive. "We're going to be okay," she whispered, into the sound of rain, because the past was speaking, and Margot was finally listening. Margot spent the next 3 days with the diary, reading, rereading, trying to understand. Sister Theodora's handwriting grew shakier toward the end, the words more desperate. "We are dying," one entry read, "but we are not defeated." Another. "The colonel came again today, offered money, as if we could be bought." And another. "Sister Mary passed in the night. I held her hand. She asked if God was angry with us. I told her no. I told her we were exactly where we were meant to be. I lied. I don't know where God is in this." Margot traced the words with her finger. Sister Theodora had been alone at the end, just like Margot. Except Margot wasn't alone anymore. Emma was at the table, drawing, always drawing. The woman in the long dress, the spring. Margot, a voice called from outside. "Opal," coming through the trees with a basket. "You look like you haven't slept," Opal said. "I haven't." Why, Margot held up the diary. "I found this. By the spring." Opal's eyes widened. Barely, but enough. "May I?" Margot handed it over. Watched Opal's face as she read. The old woman's expression didn't change much. But her hands, they trembled. I knew there was something Opal said quietly. My grandmother used to tell stories about nuns who disappeared, about a mission that failed. She looked at Margot. I never knew if it was true. "It's true." Opal turned pages, stopped at November 1887, read the last entry, closed the diary. "You know what this means." "What?" "Your land, the spring. It belonged to the church first, before the colonel took it." Margot's stomach dropped. "Victor is descended from Ashford." "I know." Opal nodded. "He probably knows the history. Probably knows this diary exists, or existed. Then why give me the land at all?" Opal's smile was sad. "Because he thought you'd fail, thought you'd leave. And then he could claim abandonment, reclaim it legally." Margot sat down, hard. "But I didn't leave." "No, you didn't. So now what?" Opal looked at the diary. "Now you find out what Sister Theodora hid." "What do you mean, the last entry?" "She said she copied documents, hid them. But where that Opal said is the question. The search. They searched for 2 days. Margot and Opal, then Margot and Elias when he came by. Even Emma helped. Looking for what? A box. More stones, some marker. They found nothing. On the third day, Margot sat by the spring, defeated. Emma came and sat beside her. Maybe she didn't hide anything Emma said. Maybe. Or maybe Emma continued. She hid it somewhere only special people can find. What do you mean? Emma shrugged. In my dream. The lady. She pointed at a tree. Which tree? Emma looked around. Pointed. That one. The old oak. Gnarled and huge, roots like fingers digging into the earth. Let's try, she said. They walked over. Margot knelt at the base, started digging. The roots made it hard, twisted and thick. Emma helped. There, something metal. Margot dug faster. A tin box, rusted, but sealed. She pulled it free, sat back. Her heart was pounding. Open it, Emma whispered. Margot pried at the lid. It didn't want to move. She tried again, harder. The lid popped. Inside, papers, folded, old, fragile, and a letter, sealed with wax. The wax had cracked, but held. Margot lifted the letter out. Read the front. To whoever finds this land. Her breath caught. She broke the seal, unfolded the letter. If you are reading this, the letter began. Then you have found what I prayed someone would find. My name is Theodora. I was the last of 5 sisters who came to this place with faith and hope and little else. We are all dead now, or will be soon. I do not write this for pity. I write this for justice. The man who destroyed us was Colonel William Ashford. He wanted our spring. He wanted our land. When we would not give it to him freely, he took it by force, not with violence, with neglect. He cut off our supplies. He told the church we had abandoned our mission. He spread lies about us in town, made us unwelcome, unwanted, forgotten. And when we died, one by one, he claimed the land as his own, but it was never his. The church purchased this land legally in May of 1887. I have enclosed the original deed, signed and notarized, proof that what Ashford took, he stole. I do not know who you are, or when you will read this, but if you are here, living on this land, fighting to keep it, then you are my sister. Across whatever years divide us, use this deed. Fight. Do not let them bury you the way they buried us. You are not abandoned. You are chosen with faith and hope. Sister Theodora. November 1887. Margot read it twice, then handed it to Emma, who couldn't read most of it, but understood anyway. She was trying to help us, Emma said. Yeah, baby, she was. Margot unfolded the other papers. A deed, yellowed, fragile, but clear. Purchased by the Diocese of... She couldn't read the rest. Water damage. But the signature at the bottom, Bishop Marcus Ellsworth. And the date, May 12th, 1887. Before Ashford claimed it. This was proof, legal proof, that the land had been stolen. Margot sat back. "We have to tell someone," she said. "Who, I don't know. Miss Opal will know. Yeah, she will." Patterson. Opal came that afternoon, read the letter, examined the deed. Her hands were steady. "You need to see Silas Patterson," she said. "Who retired judge. Lives in town. He'll know what to do with this. Can I afford him? He doesn't charge. Not for things like this. Why not? Because Silas believes in justice. Real justice. Not the kind you can buy." Opal looked at Margot. "I'll take you tomorrow." That night, Elias came by, Lucas with him. The boy had started coming closer. Not talking, but not hiding in the trees anymore either. Emma ran to him, showed him her drawings. He looked, almost smiled. Elias sat by the fire. "You look worried," he said. "I am." Margot told him everything. The diary, the letter, the deed. Victor's connection to Ashford. The meeting with Patterson tomorrow. Elias listened. When she finished, he was quiet. Then, Sarah was researching water rights, he said, before she died. "You told me. She found something. In old records. Something about this area. What I don't know. She wouldn't tell me until she was sure." He looked at Margot. "But what if she found the same thing you did?" Margot's skin went cold. "You think Victor?" "I don't know what I think. Sarah's death was an accident." "I know. But she was at this spring when it happened, taking pictures, asking questions. And Victor's family has owned this land for generations." "Exactly." "I'll come with you tomorrow," Elias said, "to see Patterson." "You don't have to. I know." But his tone said he was coming anyway. The truth they left at dawn. Margot and Elias in his truck. Emma and Lucas in the back seat. Opal had given directions. A house on the edge of town. Small. Neat. The man who answered the door was tall. Thin. Probably 75. But his eyes were sharp. Silas Patterson. "Opal sent you," he said. Not a question. "Yes, sir." "Come in." His house was full of books. Shelves on every wall. Stacked on tables. "Sit," he said. They sat. Emma and Lucas stayed close to the door. Margot handed over the diary, the letter, the deed. Patterson read everything, slowly, carefully. When he finished, he removed his glasses, cleaned them. "This is extraordinary," he said. "Is it real, the deed?" "Absolutely. I recognize the bishop's signature. I've seen his hand before in church archives. So the land was legally purchased by the church in 1887. Yes. And Ashford stole it. Yes." Patterson looked at her. You understand what this means? That Victor doesn't own it. That Victor's entire claim to this land, his family's claim, is based on theft. Can I fight him? You can. Will I win? Patterson was quiet. Then, legally, you have a strong case. This deed predates any Ashford claim, and you have documentation of the theft. But the Ashford family has money, influence, lawyers, and I have nothing. You have truth. Margot almost laughed. Truth doesn't pay legal fees, no. Patterson agreed. It doesn't. He stood, walked to a shelf, pulled down a thick folder. But I know people who take cases like this, pro bono, for the principal. He opened the folder. I'll need copies of everything. The diary, the letter, the deed. You can keep the originals for now. I'll keep them safe. How long will this take? Months, maybe a year. Depends on how hard Victor fights. He will fight. I know. Patterson looked at her. Can you hold on that long? I have to? That's not what I asked. Margot met his eyes. I've held on this long. I'll hold on longer if I have to. Patterson smiled. Small. Approving. Then let's get started. They were halfway home when Elias spoke. You okay? No. He nodded. Kept driving. After a while. You will be, though. How do you know? Because you're still here. Margot looked at him. Really looked. At the lines around his eyes. The set of his jaw. Sarah died 2 years ago, she said, quietly. Yeah. And you're still here too. Elias's jaw tightened. Barely. But you are. He didn't answer. Just drove. But his hand loosened on the wheel. The confrontation. Victor showed up 4 days later. No warning. Just his truck rolling up to the cabin. Margot was outside, feeding the chickens. She saw him coming. Emma, she called. Inside. Now. The little girl ran. Victor got out of the truck. Another man with him. Suit. Briefcase. Lawyer. Victor, the lawyer said, nodding at her. I'm not signing anything, Margot said. The lawyer smiled. Slick. We're not here for signatures. We're here to clarify the situation. It's already clear. Is it? He opened his briefcase. Your 90 days are up next week. I know. You haven't made the required improvements. I've made improvements. Minimal improvements. The contract specifies substantial maintenance. I've fixed the roof, cleared the land, planted crops, none of which constitute legal maintenance under the terms. This is my home. Victor spoke for the first time. No, Margot. It's not. His voice was flat. You were given a chance. You failed. Now the land reverts. I'm not leaving. You don't have a choice. Yes, a voice said from behind them. She does. They all turned. Elias, walking out of the woods. Lucas behind him. And Opal. And Patterson. Mr. Patterson, the lawyer said, voice tighter. This is a private matter, is it? Because it seems like you're trying to evict someone from land you don't legally own. We have documentation. So do we. Patterson held up a folder. Original deed. Dated May 1887. Showing purchase by the diocese. Predating any Ashford claim. Victor's face went white. That's impossible. Is it? Where did you get that? The same place your great-great-grandfather tried to bury it. In the ground. Hidden by a woman he killed. The lawyer stepped forward. That's slander. Is it because I have testimony? Written testimony. From Sister Theodora herself. Documenting exactly what Colonel Ashford did. The lawyer looked at Victor, who was staring at Margot, pure hatred in his eyes. You had no right. To what? To find the truth. To dig up the past. The past, Patterson said, is the only thing that matters here. He handed papers to the lawyer. That's a copy of everything. The original deed. Sister Theodora's testimony. All of it. The lawyer read. His face changed. This will take time to verify. Take all the time you need, Patterson said. But until you do, Margot Hayes stays on this land. Victor took a step forward. Elias moved. Put himself between Victor and Margot. Didn't say anything. Didn't have to. Victor looked at him. At Patterson. At Margot. This isn't over. No, Margot said. It's not. But I'm not leaving. Victor turned. Got in his truck. They drove away. Margot stood there, shaking. Not from fear. From relief. You okay, Elias asked. No. His hand found her shoulder. You will be. Patterson smiled. This is going to get harder. You know that. I know. Victor won't give up. I won't either. Good. He turned to leave. Stopped. One more thing. What? Those missing pages in the diary. Yeah, I think I know what was on them. Margot's breath caught. What more testimony? About what Ashford did. Things that would have legally disqualified his claim. Where are they? Patterson looked at the woods. Sister Theodora was methodical. If she hid the deed under the oak tree, she might have hidden the pages somewhere else. Exactly. The missing pages. For 3 days, Margot searched. Every inch of the area around the spring. Nothing. Emma helped. Lucas, too. The boy had started making sounds. Not words yet, but humming. Soft. Musical. Emma hummed back. On the 4th day, Emma had the dream again. Mama, she said at breakfast. The lady came back. What lady, Sister Theodora? What did she say? Emma frowned. She didn't say anything. She just pointed. Where at a rock? A big one. Can you show me? Emma nodded. They walked to the spring. Emma looked around. Pointed. That one. It was half buried. Moss covered. Twice as big as the others. Help me, Margot said. They dug around the base. Margot got a stick. used it as a lever. The rock rolled, revealing a hollow underneath, and inside, another tin box, smaller than the first. Margot lifted it out, opened it. Pages, diary pages, the ones that had been torn out. You found them? Emma gasped. Yeah, baby, I did. Because of you. Margot carried the pages back to the cabin, laid them out carefully. They were in bad shape, water-stained, faded, but readable. The first page was dated August 1887. Colonel Ashford came again today, this time with a surveyor. They measured the spring, calculated flow rates, discussed irrigation plans, as if we were not there. I asked him to leave. He refused, said the land would be his, one way or another. The next page. September 1887. The supplies have stopped. All of them. I sent Anna to town to inquire. She returned in tears. The shopkeeper refused to serve her. Said Colonel Ashford had warned them that we were trouble. We are being starved out. Deliberately. Another page. October 1887. Sister Beatrice died this morning. I held her, prayed with her, told her help was coming. It is not. We are forgotten. I have decided to document everything, every visit from the Colonel, every lie he has told. If we die, and we will, someone should know the truth. The final page, November 1887. I am alone now. The last. Soon I will join my sisters. But before I do, I must hide what I have written. The Colonel will come for our land the moment I am gone. So I will bury it, where someone else will find it, someday. I have copied the deed, hidden the pages that name names, that list crimes, that prove murder. Because that is what this is. Not quick murder, slow, deliberate, but murder all the same. To whoever finds this, use it, make them answer. For all the women who have been forgotten, buried, silenced, let us speak. Margot read the last line 3 times. Let us speak. This wasn't just a land dispute. This was evidence of a crime. She gathered the pages, put them with the diary, with the letter, with the deed. Proof, truth. The door opened. Elias walked in. He stopped when he saw her face. What happened? Margot held up the pages. I found them. Elias came closer, read over her shoulder. His face went hard. Jesus. Patterson needs to see this, I know. Elias looked at her. This changes everything. I know. He took her hand. You're not alone in this. His voice was rough, quiet, certain. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. But you're here anyway. So are you. They stood like that, holding hands. Outside, Emma and Lucas were laughing. Some game they'd invented. We should go, Elias said. To Patterson's, now. Okay. He didn't let go of her hand. Not until they were in the truck. Patterson read the pages twice, made notes. When he finished, he looked at Margot. This is it. What everything we need. To win. To make Victor's life very difficult. What do? I file a formal complaint with the county, requesting an investigation into the original transfer. Will that work? It should. This testimony is damning. But it's 137 years old. Some people will say it's too late. There's no statute of limitations on the truth, Margot said. Patterson smiled. No, there's not. He gathered the papers, locked them in a safe. This will take time, months, maybe longer. I have time. Do you? What does that mean? Victor's deadline is in 3 days, I thought. The deed buys us some leeway, but it doesn't cancel his claim. Not yet. So what happens in 3 days? He can still try to evict you. You'll have to fight it in court. I can't afford. I'll represent you. Pro bono. Why Patterson looked at the diary. At 137 years of silence. Because they deserve to be heard. He looked at Margot. And so do you. The hearing. The hearing was set for Monday, 3 days away. Margot spent them preparing. Patterson coached her. What to say, what not to say, how to stay calm. Elias came every evening, brought food, played with the kids, sat with Margot by the fire. On Sunday night, he asked the question, "You ready?" No. Good. Good. If you were ready, you'd be lying to yourself. Being scared means you understand what's at stake. Were you scared when Sarah died terrified? Of what? Failing Lucas, failing myself. He stopped. Did you? Elias was quiet. I stopped living. For 2 years. That's a kind of failure. But you're living now. He looked at her. Yeah, I am. Why? Because Lucas needed me to. Because. He stopped again. Because you reminded me how. I didn't do anything. You survived. You fought. You didn't give up. Neither did you. I wanted to. His voice was rough. Every day for 2 years I wanted to. But you didn't. No. Thank you, Margot said. For what? For being here. For helping. Elias stood, offered his hand. Come on. You need sleep. She took his hand. Let him pull her up. They stood close, too close. Not close enough. Margot, he said quietly. Yeah, whatever happens tomorrow, you're not alone. I know. Do you? She looked up at him. Yeah, she whispered. I do. He nodded, stepped back. got on his horse, rode away. The hearing was at 9. Margot wore the only decent clothes she had. A dress that was too big. Shoes that pinched. Emma stayed with Opal. Lucas, too. Elias drove Margot to the courthouse. Patterson met them there. Victor was already inside. With 3 lawyers. The judge was a woman, 50-something, sharp eyes. Judge Carolyn Reeves Patterson whispered, "Good or bad fare?" The hearing began. Victor's lawyers presented their case. Land had been in the Ashford family for over a century. Margot was a temporary occupant. She'd failed to meet the terms. Simple, clean. Then Patterson stood. "Your Honor, I'd like to present evidence that complicates that claim." He held up the deed. The courtroom went quiet. "Your Honor," the lead lawyer said, "whatever this is," this, Patterson interrupted, "is proof that the land in question was legally purchased by the Catholic diocese in May of 1887, before the Ashford family claimed it." He handed copies to the judge, continued. "It also includes testimony from the original occupants, 5 nuns, who documented the theft of their land." One of Victor's lawyers stood. "Objection. This testimony is 137 years old." Patterson finished. "Yes, but still legally relevant." The judge read. Carefully. When she looked up, her expression had changed. "Mr. Patterson, this is extraordinary." "Yes, Your Honor. You're claiming fraud. I'm claiming theft. Documented theft." Victor's lawyer stood again. "Your Honor, even if this deed is authentic, the statute of limitations—" "There is no statute of limitations on stolen property," the judge said quietly. She looked at Victor. "Mr. Hayes, did you know about this history?" Victor's jaw was tight. "My grandfather may have mentioned it." The judge's expression hardened. "I'm gonna need time to review this." She looked at Margot. "Mrs. Hayes, you may remain on the property pending further investigation." "How long?" "As long as it takes." "But, Your Honor," Victor's lawyer said. The judge held up a hand. "I've heard enough. This hearing is continued. Indefinitely." She stood, left. Margot sat there, trying to process. "You won," Patterson said. "For now." Victor stood, looked at Margot. His eyes were cold. "This isn't over," he said. "No," Margot replied. "It's not. But I'm still here." He walked out. Margot turned to Patterson. "What now? Now we wait for the county to investigate." "How long months? And in the meantime, you live your life." Margot looked at Elias, who was watching her. Quiet, steady. "Come on," he said. "Let's go home." Home. They drove back in silence. Comfortable silence. When they got to the cabin, Emma ran out. "Did you win, sort of? What does that mean?" "It means we get to stay." Emma whooped, grabbed Lucas, spun him around. He laughed. actually laughed out loud. Elias froze, stared at his son. "Lucas," he whispered. The boy looked up. "Hi, Dad." 2 words, small, quiet, but there. Elias dropped to his knees, pulled Lucas into his arms, and broke, sobbing into his son's hair, while Lucas patted his back. "It's okay, Dad." And Margot watched, tears streaming down her own face, because this was healing. Not perfect, not complete, but real. 6 months later, Margot woke to sunlight. Real sunlight. Through a window that didn't leak. In a bed that didn't sit on the floor. In a cabin that felt like home. She lay there, listening. Emma was already up, talking to the chickens, who still hated everyone, but laid eggs anyway. Outside, Elias was hammering something. He came by every morning now, sometimes with Lucas, sometimes alone. Always early, always staying late. The lines between his life and hers had blurred, softened. They hadn't talked about it, didn't need to. Some things just happened. Quiet, natural, right. Margot got up, made coffee, real coffee. She went outside. Elias was fixing the front steps, new boards. "Morning," he said, not looking up. "Morning. Coffee's ready. In a minute." He finished nailing, stood, looked at her, really looked, the way he did sometimes, like he was checking. What Margot asked. Nothing. Liar. He smiled. Small. Genuine. "You look different." Different how rested. Margot laughed. "That's a low bar. Still." She handed him coffee. Their fingers touched. Brief. Electric. Gone. But not really. The ruling. The county investigation took 8 months. 8 months of waiting. Of Victor trying every legal maneuver. Appeals. Delays. Challenges. Patterson fought every single one. Pro bono. Like he'd promised. And in March, on a Tuesday that felt like any other Tuesday, the ruling came. Margot was in the garden, planting, because spring meant planting, meant hope. Patterson's truck came up the road, faster than usual. She stood, wiped her hands, knew before he said anything. "We won," he said. "What the county ruled in your favor. The original deed is valid. The Ashford claim is." He paused. Void. Margot couldn't breathe. Void completely. Victor has no legal claim to this land. Never did. But, no buts. "It's over, Margot. You won." She sat down, right there in the dirt. Just sat. Because her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. Patterson knelt beside her. "You okay? I don't know." He handed her papers. Official papers. County seal. All saying the same thing. The land was hers. Legally. Permanently. hers. "What do I do now?" she whispered. "Whatever you want." And for the first time in how long since James died? Since before that? Maybe ever. Margot believed it. The celebration was small. Opal brought pie. Elias brought Lucas, and a bottle of wine he'd been saving. For this. For surviving. For winning. Patterson came too, with his wife Dorothy, who hugged Margot like they were family. Maybe they were. Family wasn't always blood. Sometimes it was choice. Emma and Lucas played, ran through the woods, laughed, loud, free, the sound of it. Pure. Perfect. "We should do something," Opal said. "We are doing something," Margot replied. "No, something bigger. For the sisters, Sister Theodora and the others. They deserve to be remembered. Properly." Margot looked at the diary, at the letter. "You're right." Patterson nodded. A memorial. At the spring, when Opal smiled. "When you're ready." Margot looked at Elias, who was watching her. Always watching her. "I'm ready." The memorial. They planned it for May, the anniversary of when the sisters had arrived. May 1887. May 2025. 138 years. Long enough. Too long. But better late than never. Margot designed the markers herself. 5 wooden crosses. Simple. Dignified. Each with a name. Sister Theodora. Sister Mary. Sister Agnes. Sister Beatrice. Anna. Just Anna. Because she'd never taken her vows. Elias made them. Carved the names by hand. Took him 3 weeks. He worked in the evenings. By lamplight. Careful. Precise. Making sure every letter was right. Because these women mattered. Because their names mattered. Lucas helped. Handing tools. Holding wood steady. Not talking much, but there. Present. Emma painted. Flowers on each cross. Different flowers for each sister. She'd asked Margot which ones. "I don't know, baby." "Can I choose?" Of course. So Emma chose roses for Sister Theodora, because she was brave. Lilies for Sister Mary, because the name sounded gentle. Daisies for Sister Agnes, because daisies were cheerful. Violets for Sister Beatrice, because violets were quiet. And sunflowers for Anna, because Anna was young. And sunflowers were hope. Margot cried when she saw them. "They're perfect," she whispered. Emma beamed. The memorial was set for May 12th, exactly 138 years after the sisters arrived. Margot invited everyone. The whole town. Didn't think many would come. Was wrong. 40 people showed up. 40. From town. From neighboring farms. From the church. People Margot had never met. People who'd heard the story. Who wanted to pay respects. Who understood that some stories needed witnesses. They gathered at the spring, quiet, respectful. Patterson spoke first, told the history, the facts, the timeline, the theft, the silence, the 138 years of no one knowing. Until now. Then Opal. She read from Sister Theodora's diary, the final entry, her voice steady, strong. We are dying, but we are not defeated. We leave our story for whoever needs it, for whoever will listen, for whoever will remember. People wiped their eyes, stood straighter. Then Margot. She hadn't planned to speak, but standing there, looking at the crosses, at the faces, at Emma and Lucas holding hands, at Elias watching her with that look, the one that said, I see you. I'm here. She found words. I came here with nothing, she said. Her voice shook, steadied. I came here broken, abandoned, believing I had no value. Pause. Breath. These women, these 5 sisters, they came here with faith, with purpose. She looked at the spring they were stolen from, lied about, forgotten. But they left proof. They left truth. And that truth saved me. Her voice broke, just slightly. So this memorial isn't just for them. It's for anyone who's been told they don't matter, who's been left behind, who's been erased. She looked around. You matter. Your story matters, even when they try to bury you. Especially then. Silence. Deep. Reverent. Then someone started clapping. Slow at first, then others joined, until everyone was clapping. Not polite applause, real, from the chest, from the heart. Emma ran to Margot, wrapped her arms around her waist. You were really good, Mama. Thanks, baby. Elias came next. Didn't say anything, just took her hand, squeezed. And Margot felt. What peace known? Something bigger. Belonging. After the memorial, people lingered, talked, shared food, shared stories. A woman in her 70s approached Margot. My grandmother knew them, she said. What? The sisters. My grandmother was a child when they were here. She remembered them bringing medicine. Margot's throat tightened. I never knew who they were, the woman continued. Just a story my grandmother told about kind women at the spring. She touched Sister Theodora's cross. Thank you for remembering them. Thank you for telling me. Others came, each with fragments, pieces of memory passed down. An old man remembered his great-uncle talking about the colonel, how he'd bragged about getting rid of the nuns. A middle-aged woman said her mother had always avoided this land, said it felt wrong. She'd been right. By evening, everyone had left, except Elias and the kids. They sat by the crosses, watching the sun set. You did good, Elias said. We did good. He looked at her. Yeah, we did. Lucas and Emma were at the spring, making boats from leaves, racing them in the current, laughing. They've come a long way, Margot said. So have we. Have we? Yeah. Elias turned to face her. Margot. Yeah, I need to tell you something. Okay. I'm not good at this. At what words? Feelings. You're doing fine. He smiled. Sarah was. He stopped. Started again. Sarah was everything. For 15 years, I know. When she died, I thought that was it. Thought I'd used up my chance. But you. He looked at her. You reminded me I'm still alive. Elias, let me finish. Okay. I'm not trying to replace what we lost, either of us. I know. But I think. He took her hand. I think we could build something new. Margot's heart was racing. What are you saying? I'm saying I want to be here. With you. With Emma. Officially. Like whatever we decide that means. I'm not asking you to marry me. Good. Because I'm not ready for that. I know. Me neither. So what are you asking? To stop pretending this is temporary? To choose this? Choose us? On purpose? Margot looked at their hands. Intertwined. Real. I already have, she said quietly. What's chosen this? I just didn't say it out loud. She looked up. But I'm saying it now. Elias exhaled, like he'd been holding his breath for months. Okay. They sat there, holding hands, watching their kids play, watching the light fade, watching the crosses cast long shadows, memorials to women who died alone, so that Margot didn't have to. The museum, the county offered to put the diary in their historical archive. Climate-controlled, protected, safe. Margot said yes, but with conditions. It had to be on display, not locked away. People needed to see it. The county agreed. They created an exhibit, small, respectful, called it The Lost Mission of 1887. Margot went to the opening with Emma, with Elias and Lucas, with Opal and Patterson and Dorothy, with half the town. The diary was in a glass case, open to the final page. You are not abandoned. You are chosen. Below it, a placard explaining the history, the theft, the 138 years of silence, and how one woman, Margot Hayes, had found the truth, had fought for it, had won. Margot stood in front of the case, stared at her own name. This isn't about me, she said to Patterson. Yes, it is. No. It's about them. The sisters. It's about both. She shook her head. Patterson put a hand on her shoulder. Margot, you're part of this story now. You finished what they started. I just found their diary. You did more than that. You believed them. You fought for them. You made sure they weren't forgotten. He gestured to the room, to the people reading, learning, remembering. That's not nothing. Margot looked at Emma, who was showing Lucas the diary, pointing at Sister Theodora's handwriting, serious, understanding, even at 8 years old, that this mattered. Okay, Margot whispered. Okay. Building a life. Summer came. The garden grew. Tomatoes, squash, beans, more than they could eat. So she shared. With Opal, with neighbors, with anyone who stopped by. Because that's what you did when you had enough. You shared. Elias built a chicken coop, a real one. The chickens still hated everyone, but they had 14 of them now, which meant eggs. Margot started selling them in town. Not for much, but enough. Enough to buy supplies. Enough to save a little. Enough to feel secure. For the first time, maybe ever. Lucas started talking more. Not constantly, but regularly, in full sentences, with opinions and jokes. Terrible jokes. That made Emma laugh until she couldn't breathe, which made Lucas beam, which made Elias tear up every single time, because that's what healing looked like. Not perfect, not linear, but real. In August, Elias asked if he could move his things over. Not everything, just some. Enough to not have to go back and forth. Enough to wake up here. With them. Margot said yes. Without hesitation. Without fear. Just yes. His stuff arrived in boxes. Not many. Elias traveled light. But each box felt significant. Permanent. Like he was putting down roots. Here. With her. They didn't make a big deal of it. Didn't announce anything. Just lived. Together. Figuring it out as they went. Some days were hard. Old habits, old grief, old fear that this couldn't last. But most days were good. Simple. Normal. Which felt like a miracle. In October, Victor tried one last time, an appeal. To the state. It was dismissed. Quickly. Firmly. With prejudice. Meaning he couldn't try again. Ever. It was over. Really over. Patterson called with the news. That's it, he said. You're free. Free. Margot hung up. Walked outside. To the spring. Stood there. Listening to the water. Same as it had been for centuries. Running. Constant. She thought about Sister Theodora. About 5 women who died here. About their faith. Their hope. Thank you, Margot whispered. The water kept running. But somewhere, in the space between heartbeats, Margot felt something. Not supernatural. Just connection. Across time. And she understood. Finally. What Sister Theodora had meant. You are chosen. Not by God. Not by fate. By circumstance. by need, by the simple fact that you showed up and refused to leave. That was enough. That was everything. Winter came. The first real winter Margot had spent here. Last year didn't count. That was survival. This was living. The cabin was warm, insulated, sealed. The roof held. The windows closed. It was home. Real home. Emma turned 8. They had a party. Small. Just family, which meant Elias and Lucas, Opal, Patterson and Dorothy, a few kids from Emma's school. Because Emma went to school now, real school, in town, made friends, brought home drawings, and stories, and laughter. Lucas turned 10, got his own party, smaller, because Lucas didn't like crowds. But Emma insisted on baking a cake. It was lopsided, burnt on one side. Perfect. They sang, ate cake, played games. And when it was over, Lucas hugged Margot. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" "For letting Dad be happy again." Margot's eyes filled. She hugged him tighter. "You did that, sweetie, not me." But Lucas shook his head. "Both of us." And maybe he was right. Spring again. Spring came again. 1 year since the memorial. Margot went to the crosses, like she did every week, to clean them, to replace flowers, to sit and remember. The spring was running high. Snow melt, fast, cold, clear. Emma and Lucas were at school. Elias was working. Margot was alone. But not lonely. There was a difference. She sat on the rocks, pulled out Sister Theodora's letter, the original. She'd kept it. Patterson had made copies for the archive. But the original, that was hers. She read it again, for the 100th time, maybe more. "To whoever finds this land, you are not abandoned. You are chosen. This spring sustained us. May it sustain you." Margot folded it carefully, put it back in her pocket, looked at the crosses. "I kept it," she said out loud. "The land, the spring, your story." The wind rustled the trees. "And I won't let anyone forget. Promise." She stood, walked back to the cabin, where Elias was waiting, early. He'd left work early, something he never did. "What's wrong?" Margot asked. "Nothing." "Then why are you home?" Because he said. "I wanted to ask you something." "Okay." He looked nervous. Actually nervous. "What is it? Will you marry me?" Margot stopped. "What I know, we said we weren't ready. I know we said we'd take it slow. We did say that. But it's been 2 years. And I don't want to wait anymore." He pulled out a ring. Simple. Silver. Nothing fancy. Perfect. "I don't need fancy," he said. "I don't need perfect. I just need you." Margot stared at the ring, at Elias, at his face. open, vulnerable. "We already live together," she said. "I know. We already share everything." "I know. So what changes?" He smiled. "Nothing. Everything. I don't know." She took the ring, held it. It fit. Of course it fit. "Yes," she said. "What, yes?" "I'll marry you." Elias exhaled, laughed, pulled her close, kissed her. Right there, in the doorway. And Margot kissed him back. Because this was choosing. On purpose. Out loud. Forever. The wedding. The wedding was simple. At the spring. In May. 2 years after the memorial. 3 years after Margot arrived. Small ceremony. Opal officiated. She'd gotten certified online. Just for this. Patterson walked Margot down the aisle, which was really just a path through the woods, but it felt right. Emma was flower girl. Lucas was best man. Both took their jobs very seriously. Opal spoke about love, about choice, about building something new from something broken. Margot cried. Elias cried. Everyone cried. Happy tears, finally. They said vows, simple ones, honest ones. "I choose you," Margot said, "every day, for the rest of my life." "I choose you," Elias said, "and Emma, and this life we've built." They exchanged rings, kissed, and everyone clapped, standing there, by the spring, by the crosses, by the place where 5 women had died, so that Margot could live. The reception was at the cabin. Food on tables Elias had built. Music from someone's phone. Dancing in the grass. Kids running. Adults laughing. Community. Family. Love. All of it. Together. Opal pulled Margot aside. "I'm proud of you," she said. "For what?" "For not giving up. I had help. We all do. The trick is accepting it." Margot hugged her. This woman. Who'd showed up when no one else did? Who'd taught her to survive? To live? "Thank you," Margot whispered. "For everything." Opal patted her back. "You did the hard part, child. I just pointed the way." That night, after everyone left, after Emma and Lucas were asleep, Margot and Elias sat by the spring, alone. Finally. "Mrs. Brennan," he said. "Mr. Brennan." He smiled, took her hand. "Happy, yeah. You, yeah." They sat, listening to the water, to the night sounds, to the quiet. "I never thought I'd get this," Margot said. "What this? Peace, home. You, me neither. But we did. We did. And tomorrow we wake up, and do it again. Margot leaned against him. Sounds perfect. It was. 10 years later. 10 years after arriving, Margot stood at the County Historical Society. They'd expanded the exhibit, added photos, added artifacts, added Margot's story. The director had asked Margot to speak at the anniversary celebration. She'd said yes. Now she stood at a podium, looking at a room full of people. Some she knew, some she didn't, all listening. "I came here with nothing," she began, her voice steady, strong. "I was 32, widowed, poor, desperate." Pause. "My brother-in-law gave me this land as a way to get rid of me." Gasps, but what he didn't know, what no one knew, was that this land had a history. She gestured to the exhibit. 5 women lived here in 1887. They were stolen from, silenced, buried. Another pause. But they left truth. And that truth saved me. She looked at Emma. 16 now. In high school. Studying history. Of course. So this exhibit isn't just about the past. It's about what the past teaches us. Her eyes swept the room. That we all matter. That our stories matter. That fighting for truth, for justice, for each other. She stopped. That's the only thing that lasts. Applause. Long. Genuine. Afterward, people came up, shook her hand, shared their own stories of struggle, of survival. And Margot listened, really listened, because that's what Sister Theodora had done for her. Listened. Across 138 years, through paper and ink and faith. Elias waited outside, gray at his temples now, early 50s, still strong, still steady, still hers, ready, he asked. Yeah. They walked to the truck, holding hands, like they always did, going home. To the cabin, to the spring, to the land that had almost destroyed Margot, but had saved her instead. The spring at dusk. That evening, Margot sat at the spring. The crosses were weathered now. 10 years of wind and rain and snow, but still standing, like everything else. She pulled out Sister Theodora's letter, worn now, creased, fragile, but whole. Read it one more time. To whoever finds this land, you are not abandoned. You are chosen. This spring sustained us. May it sustain you. And it had. For 10 years. For Emma's childhood. For Margot's second life. It had sustained them all. And it would keep sustaining long after Margot was gone. Because that's what truth did. It lasted. Margot folded the letter, put it back in her pocket, stood, walked home. To Elias, to their life, to tomorrow. Because this was it. This was the gift. Not the land, not the spring, not even the victory. But this, the ability to wake up, to choose, to keep going, to matter, even when the world said she didn't. Especially then, she'd survived, she'd fought, she'd won, and now she would live, really live, for as long as she had, which was all anyone could ask for, all anyone needed. She opened the cabin door. Elias looked up, smiled. Welcome home. And Margot smiled back, because she was home. Finally, completely, forever.